Isabel, I'll just start off with the question that makes the most sense to start out with. What is your relationship to Selena Quintanilla Perez, and how far back does it go?
I can't even remember like the specific time or age I was at where I first learned about Selena. I do. I was first introduced to her through the film, the 1997 film, and I think that like seeing her on screen did was meant something profound to me. Like it really made me understand a whole different identity than the ones that I thought that I was really struggling with. I'm Mexican. I came to the United States, and I never knew really. I wasn't from here nor from there, and so much of that 1997 film talks about that. So it was just like really kind of relieving and exciting to see someone represented in that way in a film. And then, her music has just kind of been with me throughout my life. It's been at weddings I've attended, it's been at parties I go to. And so she's kind of been this like omnipresence in my life.
I totally get where you're coming from with the movie, with the '97 movie, because I caught up with it again earlier this week, and yeah, that speech by her dad, right, where it's like we need to
Right.
be double perfect, not American
Right.
enough for Americans, not Mexican enough for Mexicans, and I was
That
connected with that too because I'm also I was born in Chihuahua, but I don't remember living there, so it's
right. No, that specific speech is oftentimes what I think about the most. So it's when he says you have to work doubly hard, you have to kind of make it here and make it there. And I think that really like emotionally resonated with me.
yeah, yeah. I think your experience as far as being introduced to her through the film, through Jennifer Lopez first, right, and her iteration of Selena is pretty common for folks our age. When did you first? I imagine like from there somehow organically you sought out like Selena concert footage, or what
So
happened there?
I actually I made a film that premiered at Sundance in 2022 that was about a young music manager who supports her mixed status family by managing young pop musicians. So it was kind of a music doc of sorts, that also explored themes around immigration and living in a mixed status family. And that film came out in 2022. And it was just kind of cosmic timing because after many, many years, I mean, decades really, of the family not feeling ready to do a documentary, they had decided around that same time that they were ready to do a film, they were ready to kind of share their archive with a filmmaking team to do that. And so it was they had been kind of like they'd said yes to a documentary that had been kind of looking for the right person to do it. And my first film came out, Mija came out, and it just dealt with a lot of themes that I think resonated with the family. And so we clicked, and I was given the opportunity after that.
Got it. And that perfectly segues into my next question because I was going to ask you, what came first, your desire to make a Selena movie, or you finding out the family had this treasure trove of unseen family archival footage that they're like, we want to do something with it.
I mean, I think like making a Selena film, it's kind of like my white whale. I mean, it's like it's like one of the biggest honors of my career. It was always on like my radar as something that would be incredible to do, but didn't feel that feasible. Like it wasn't like something that I actively sought out. It was just kind of like when you get that question as a filmmaker, like what would be your dream documentary subject or topic or theme? Like Selena, it was always just kind of an abstract kind of like dream. And so, I mean, when they first approached me about it, like I couldn't, I was kind of like overwhelmed, because also it's just such a huge responsibility and it's such a huge honor. And, but I also like, I was like curious about how the story would evolve because it's a story that we all know that has been told in different formats. There was a film and then there was a series, and the family has written books over the years. And so I think that I was kind of curious to know whether there could be a way to do Selena the story in a different and new way. And when I saw the archive, I mean, it was just kind of like it's just like discovering a treasure trove. And I just had never wanted anything more in my career was to
Yeah.
get that get the job and get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and that was gonna be kind of like if I was gonna ask any question in this interview, I mean that was it right there. Like how many hours of footage did they provide you with?
Oh man, I think I this is always a question people ask, and I always forget the exact number, but we went through it at some point. I mean, it's hundreds of hours of footage.
Wow.
It's like basically, they handed us the key to a closet that has all of their concerts, it has all of their home videos, it has a lot of this, like, a lot of it was actually kind of footage that had been used in like different specials or in different formats. And so there are also a lot of duplicates of the same footage. And so part of the treasure hunt was about trying to find like the best possible quality, the most original form of it. And so in addition to kind of hundreds of hours of footage that we were watching down to sculpt into a film, it was also, an additional kind of hundreds of hours of footage that we sifted through, that we kind of parsed out what was the best quality of each thing.
Sure, that makes sense. Um, did the ultimate challenge of whittling those hundreds of hours down to enough footage for a 110-minute movie, did that get easier or harder as you increasingly whittled it down?
Oh God, harder, harder and harder and harder. And I think that was kind of the most difficult part of making this film, was making decisions about what to cut, because you want to, we did prioritize a few things. We prioritized hearing Selena's voice. We prioritized seeing kind of home video of Selena. So any footage that we found of that, we really like did not cut very much. I think all of it is on screen. But there's other footage of there's so many concerts. There's, each interview with the family was like 5 to 6 hours long. And then, besides that, it's like just so many interviews with Selena over the years, and prioritizing hearing her voice, but also trying to pick the right format of it. It was my first time doing an archival film, and it really kind of opened my eyes to how challenging of a project it is to do archival, because so much of it just boils down to like making those decisions about what to cut.
In the context of that, going back to the 97 film real quick, for folks who watched that from an early age and learned about Selena that way or were exposed to her that way, there's the early images of her as a child, right? Her dad forcing the family to practice and forcing them to fall in love with the music before they did it organically, performing at the restaurant, at the county fairs, things like that. Was there anything in the footage where like, well, that matches up pretty close to that? Do you think there was footage that helped recontextualize for you maybe what you saw in the 97 film?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 97 film, the essence of the narrative is extremely accurate, but obviously like it's narrativized. It's,
Yeah.
it's turned into a film. It's creating this complicated narrative into something that feels a lot simpler than I think it was, and
Sure.
a lot more linear than it was. Um, I think that seeing the raw footage, I mean, obviously there aren't like some literal comparisons, like the washing machine dance, or like, like the moment that she goes on stage with a bra, like those were dramatized, but you do see the organic evolution of Selena, and you get an intimacy in watching the footage that feels really unique and different from watching the film. Like, even if you know the film and you've seen it a million times, watching this film is a totally different experience, because you're hearing directly from her, you're seeing her directly, you're seeing kind of these moments and these micro expressions that she makes in relation to the camera and to other people, that it just isn't in the film. So it's just in the 1997 film. So it's kind of the different format kind of gives it very different meaning.
Yeah, and for folks who are anticipating watching your documentary, I assume we start off from when she was an early age, right? In the archival footage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we start, we have her first recorded performance in the film. We have baby photos of her. I mean, we really kind of follow Selena from birth to the unfortunate her unfortunate death at 23.
Yeah. Now, Suzette and AB, both executive producers on Selena y Los Dinos, how involved were they in its
Yes.
creation? Did they essentially hand you the footage and their blessing and say, "We're excited to see what you come up with," or did they walk you through the footage? Were they in the editing room?
So they were incredible. I mean, the family was so incredibly generous, not just with us, but like with everyone as an audience. They were really, they've sat with this footage for a long time, and I think they're eager and excited to share it with the world now.
Mhm.
In terms of process, they were. We basically we didn't do interviews with them until after almost. I mean, over a year of going back and forth from Corpus and spending like week long chunks at a time there.
Mhm.
And over that time, like we built relationships with them and we were doing, having conversations and getting to know both them and their story kind of in a way that they were also telling us like what was important for them to be in the film.
Sure.
They shared all of their archival and they basically they gave us a lot of creative liberties. They came in once we had kind of like a rough cut, like a what and a, once it had all been assembled. We did screenings with them, and they gave feedback, and they kind of told us how they felt about certain things,
Mhm.
and we incorporated that into kind of our editing process.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Um, was there a moment in the footage, Isabel, that you combed through that particularly struck you as like surprising or distinct, whether it's in the final movie or not?
Um, that's a great question. I mean, I think that like what sticks with me the most and what like really has affected me the most in watching this footage is just spending time with raw footage of Selena.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a journalist, I come from a journalism background
Hmm.
where you're trying to find the truth and the cracks in like the way that people present themselves. And I think that like I spent a lot of time with Selena, and she was just an extraordinary person. Like she was so charismatic and so humble and so she's just all the things that she's been made out to be. And I think that what surprised me honestly was that all of that came through the footage. Like it wasn't something that was constructed by the family or by her. Like she genuinely was like an extraordinarily special person.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about Selena y Los Dinos, Isabel, in the context of your earlier films. You mentioned Mija, and your earlier short films as well. They introduced us to characters kind of in the world of immigration, politics, Latino identity. That through those films, you're introducing the viewers to those people, right? This is different in that people have a predisposed notion of who Selena is. Did you
Yeah.
think about that, and how might that have changed your approach compared to your work before?
That's a great question. Yes, absolutely. It was something that I was excited and nervous about. Excited because there's a built-in audience, and so it gives you the ability to reach a very wide audience, and kind of be able to explore some of these themes, like through a story that people are immediately going to be attracted to. I think that was very exciting for me.
Mhm.
Um, I was also nervous because you feel such a sense of responsibility and duty to kind of different types of audiences. Like
Yeah.
there's like there's the dedicated Selena fans that like really wanted to see something new or like learn new things. There's people that have never heard of Selena, and then there's people that you know there's just such a wide range of viewers, and I think that like balancing, putting on the hat of like, okay, how will this kind of viewer see this, or how will this kind of viewer see it?
Mhm.
Balancing all of those perspectives and the kind of experience that you want an audience to have. Um, it's definitely part of what I think about as a filmmaker, and it was very daunting because like you have to balance so many varying experiences. But I really loved the challenge. Like I really thought I would be a bit like I think that like making films about celebrities is notoriously difficult because
Sure.
like they're artists themselves, and the family has been kind of been maintaining her legacy for all these years, and I was surprised by how much I really enjoyed the experience. Like I loved uh working through all those different challenges. It was like a
Mhm.
really big creative challenge that I enjoyed.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point you bring up. There is that baked-in challenge because if you're creating, say, a dramatized biopic of an iconic musical figure, there'll be inevitably people in the audience saying, "Oh, you're taking a lot of artistic liberty with this. That's not
Yeah,
how I think this happened."
yeah.
If it's a documentary, there might be people saying, "Oh, it's just the loved ones of the family who pulled the strings on this." I mean, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place when you're tackling a story of a musical titan like Selena, right?
Yeah, it's really you're balancing a lot of different things, but I think I don't know. I think I genuinely was very kind of excited about those creative challenges. And at the end of the day, something that was also important to me was like communicating my own personal voice through this
Mhm.
film. And I think that when you watch it, you understand like it is a film that has a personal perspective and a personal voice within it too.
It's impossible to talk about Selena's life, her legacy, right, without taking in the context of what her legacy is now after her death and the fact that she tragically died so young. Does your movie dive into that context of it all, the legacy and the aftermath of that, or did you want to focus more on her family, her upbringing, and who she was before she became the Selena that we know culturally?
The film basically really focuses on, well, it does both of those things. It focuses on the family.
Mhm.
It focuses on explaining and showing how Selena and her music came to be, how it was created, how it came together, and how the family is just it's an integral part of that legacy. Like I really wanted to illustrate that in my film. But at the end of the film, it also shows the incredible symbolism that Selena now has as like a Latina, as a woman, as a Latina woman.
Mhm.
Um, at what she represents for Latinos, just in terms of upward mobility and pursuing our dreams. Like she's become this like incredible symbol, and so it definitely dives into that, but the film is really grounded in the family's perspective, and so
Yeah.
in some ways it's also like showing the family in response to the symbolism of this person and kind of exploring their own personal relationship to that.
Mhm.
Um, the only thing the film doesn't do is talk about her death. Like it just, it's something that I wasn't personally, that I'm not interested in. And
Mhm.
so, you know, we explain what happened, but we just don't go into any of the details, just because that part of it just, it wasn't as interesting as all the other sections.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think in thinking of that through that perspective, the movie will inevitably introduce people to a different part of Selena, right? Than we might not have seen
That's
as
right.
much before.
That's right.
So Selena y Los Dinos, obviously we talked about it, premiered at Sundance, went on the festival circuit, Miami, Sydney, I think I saw,
Yeah.
had its Texas premiere at South by. Uh, we're talking about San Antonio. You're getting even closer to like the crux of the origin of the Selena story,
Yeah.
not just geographically, but culturally too. That being said, is your anticipation for the CineFestival screening any different? How is it different from the previous festivals?
Oh, I'm so excited. I mean, we're bringing the film home, like I think that this screening is particularly meaningful because of that. Like the all of the screenings have been extraordinary and special in their own ways, and they've definitely been like different experiences, but the screening at South by is something that I will take with me forever. Just kind of screening it, not just with the family, but in a place where everybody really deeply and emotionally kind of connects to their story. And San Antonio is the closest place to, it's like, it's bringing it home. And so I've been looking forward to this the entire time I even was making it. Was just kind of like, I've just always thought about that experience of bringing it home and what it'll be like. And I'm extremely excited.
Yeah. We started out our conversation, Isabel, talking about the relationship you had with Selena already ingrained in you, right? And how far back it went. After working on this movie for, I'm assuming, what, 2 years roughly? Would that be correct in
Yeah,
saying that?
that's correct. Yeah.
Um, After working on it for that long and looking through these hours and hours of footage, some of it so many times repeatedly, I'm sure, how has it changed your relationship to Selena? Do you listen to her music differently, or do you view her differently?
I love her more. I
Yeah,
really love her more. I didn't expect that. I listen to her music more. I love her more. I appreciate and understand the family a lot more deeply. And yeah, she's a bigger presence in my life. Like, she's always been omnipresent, but now I feel like she's just an integral part of my daily experience.